Most founders think they're delegating, but really they're just offloading tasks and hoping for the best. Then things break, deadlines get missed, and then they jump back in and convince themselves that they'd just be better off doing it themselves in the first place. That's not delegation, that is chaos. If you've ever felt that handing things over just makes things harder, I get it. But it's not delegation that's the problem, it's how you're doing it. In this video, I'm gonna show you 6 ways to delegate properly so that your team takes real ownership, your standards remain high, and you stay in control without doing everything yourself. This is how you scale without becoming the bottleneck. Step 1, you've got to change your mindset. You've got to believe that other people can do it better than you. It might mean that you've got multiple people to do something better than you, but you have to start with that belief that it can be done. Otherwise, you're stuck, and you're stuck forevermore. You'll never, ever be able to get out of it. I was able to delegate most things in my business, but the thing that I just couldn't let go of was marketing. I believe that I was the only person that could do the marketing. Only me could write the emails. Only me could produce the posts, could do the videos, could stand on stage, could write the book. What we did was we started to build a team of people around me that were specialists in each of those areas. And slowly and over time, as the playbooks got created, we started to take those tasks off me. And you throw in AI into the mix, and certainly things can be done better than you, but you will never entertain that if you don't believe it's possible. Number 2, you've got to get out of something I call the percentage trap. So let's say you can do a specific task to a quality of 90%, and you've got a team member over here who, if you handed it over to them, even with training, even with a playbook, because they've not done it before and they just don't have your experience, they're gonna do it to 70%. So what you think is, what's the point of me handing it over to them? I'll just do it myself because I know I can do it at 90% and it needs to be to this standard. So what ends up happening is you say, I'll do that myself. I'll do that myself. I'll do that one myself, because you believe that you can do it at 90%, but because you've taken so much on, you're actually doing it at 0%. So you're far better off getting that person to do it at 70%, which is commercially viable, and then to mentor them again to get them to 75% and 76 and 79 and 83, and to move them through that process as fast as you possibly can. They don't have to be great to start taking that task off you, but they have to start taking that task off you if they're ever going to become great. And you have to trust that process. You have to be prepared to allow that dip and to move forward with it. And it may be that they may drop a few balls. You just have to make sure that the balls they drop aren't the ones made of glass or crystal or the ones that can never break. And you have to put the protection in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Standards may slip, but unless you are prepared to allow that to happen, you will always have all these things that you wish you could do at 90%, but which you're actually doing at 0%. Number 3, if you're going to truly delegate, you have to set the outcome that you want achieving, not the tasks that you want completing. The moment you start setting tasks, you'll be forever policing it and they'll fall short of what you expect. What you've got to do is trust them to achieve the outcome. So everything that you delegate, you have to set the outcome. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're trying to get hold of a sales prospect and you want this member of staff to chase that prospect and to get them over the line and to sign up for your product, okay? But the first thing you want them to do is to get in touch with that person. You want the outcome to be that they speak to that client to confirm what they want to do moving forward. What you don't want to do is set them a task of calling that client, because then what happens is they call the client and the client doesn't answer the phone. So they've completed the task you've delegated them to do, but they've not achieved the outcome that you wanted them to achieve. So what happens is a week later and you say, what happened to that client? Did they end up signing up with us? Or I called them and they didn't answer the phone. I told you to get in touch with them. Not really, you told me to call them and they didn't answer. So what you have to do is trust that if you set the outcome and then maybe help them to figure out what the tasks might be, which is call them, leave a voice note. If they don't do it, call them again, then email them, send them a WhatsApp video, go and visit them, send them a letter, bake them a birthday cake, whatever it needs to be, whatever you need to do. I just need the outcome to be you have spoken to that client directly and you have got them over the line. Do whatever it takes. I trust you to go and figure that out. That is the only true way to delegate. You have to delegate outcomes, not delegate tasks. Step 4 is you've got to provide mentorship, not management. You don't need to manage that person. Otherwise, you've just created yourself a new task. You want to mentor them. You want to help them and support them and help them to evolve so they can now deliver this to your standard and then better. So there's a good methodology that I've used for this, which is called stop, start, keep going. So what you do in your mentorship sessions, whether that's maybe weekly initially, and then dropping back to monthly after that, if it's around a specific task, what you do is you say, right, this is what you're doing that I want you to stop doing because I don't like it. This is what you're not doing at the moment, which I want you to start doing. And this is what you're doing great, and I want you to keep doing that. And what you say at the start of that session is, I'm gonna force myself to put something in each of those categories. So I'm gonna force myself to tell you something that I want you to stop doing. It doesn't matter how petty it is. It doesn't matter if it's, I want you to tuck your shirt in, I want you to stop turning up to meetings with your shirt hanging out, I want it tucked in. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to say something you want them to stop doing, that you want them to start doing, and that you want them to keep doing. And what I also do is, I then say to that team member, I want you to do the same for me. I want to support you in this. I want to help you as much as I can. But what am I doing that you don't want me to keep doing? Like, what do you want me as your mentor to stop doing? What do you want me to start doing that I'm currently not doing for you? And what do you want me to keep doing that's actually really helpful and supporting you in this role? And I think if you can have that two-way mentorship rather than one-way management, you will really help them to get up to speed and to the standard that you want really fast. Number 5 is we have to have regular planning sessions. Every business that I work with, the first planning framework I will put in place is an annual planning session. Annual planning sessions are absolutely key. These are either 1 or 2 day events, and I will include the entire team in this. If you want your team to be driving this business up for you, pushing that rock up the hill, if you want them to take every task away from you, they have to understand where we're going and why we're going there. They have to understand the plan for the year, and they have to be involved in that. So if you've not done an annual planning session with your team, there is no way you can expect them to be driving this business forward for you. And it's very, very hard to be delegating all the tasks to them. So we need an annual planning session. I would then do quarterly planning sessions as well. And then I would do fortnightly sprints with them. So it's developing those planning rhythms and planning cycles that actually enable them to be driving that business forward at pace, knowing that they're on track and that they're taking it to the point that you want them to take it to. I've got a fantastic annual planning framework that I use, that I've used in many businesses now. And that as we were driving the growth of Go Proposal, my SaaS business, that we got all of the team involved every year. We really honed this down to be very successful, very efficient, and for the team to take ownership and to completely remove me from the process. And so if you want that, there'll be a link in the description that you can go and get, and I will share that framework with you because it was just such a powerful tool that we had in that business. Once you have all of these things in place, the final place that you're likely to up is what we call an accidental diminisher. Now, that's not my phrase. I got this from a fantastic book called Multipliers. And where we came across this was in the final stage of that business, where we were really scaling the business up, removing me, and moving into the exit phase of the business. So we had to completely kill me off because we had to demonstrate that this business not only ran without me, but it thrived and it grew and it innovated without me as well. And what we discovered, what we learned in this book, was that there's 5 ways that a founder can be an accidental diminisher of their team. And you had to complete this assessment form to understand which one you were diminishing them in. I was bossing all of them. I was diminishing them in every single one. Let's say you as the founder get CC'd into an email along with your team member. Are you the first person to reply? Because if your team member knows that you're the first to reply, they'll just sit quiet and wait for you to step forward and do what you need to do. The other one is in a group session, if there's a problem that needs solving, are you the first person to put the idea forward, or will you listen to everyone else first, allow them to put their ideas, allow them to choose what they believe to be the best way forward, and only ask you for your input if they need it? Or do you just wade in because you know the answer? Now, you may well know the answer, but if you wade in with it, you deprive them of their learning. You deprive them of evolving and becoming better. And if you do that, they will never be able to take these tasks away from you. So what we did with me in our quarterly and annual planning sessions is I was given 2 poker chips, and they were the only answers I were allowed to offer in those sessions. I could ask questions, but I couldn't give answers once I'd used the 2 chips. So I'd sit there with them thinking, I know the answer to this, I know the answer, but it's not a big enough problem for me to solve. Let everyone else solve it. And I would wait and I would hold them back for the problems that I believed only I could step in and solve. And so it's training yourself to step back and allowing everyone else to step up. And when you do that regularly, they will start to step up. So that's the final stage of removing yourself. My team call this phase with me, kill the king. So it was killing me off so that we could enter the formal exit process of the business, because when you're exiting a business, you will be needed fully on that process. You will be needed by the M&A company. You'll be needed to provide hundreds, if not thousands, of detailed answers for them to get all the information they need so they can sell your business for the highest possible multiple, which is what we achieved. And so throughout that process, I was entirely immersed in that sales process. I couldn't look at the business at all. For 6 to 9 months, that process was. And the business didn't just have to survive without me, it had to grow without me. And I always remember we got to the final month of the due diligence process when we were about to complete the deal. And they said, we just want to check last month's figures to make sure that you're still hitting your growth projections. So right at the end of that process, without me being involved in that business at all, they wanted to see that that business was still growing without me before we signed the deal.